Well, you can see what I'm dealing with tonight, and that is rain. Unfortunately, we're gonna get washed out and not be able to accomplish much on the truck. I was planning to continue work on the frame and taking the wire wheel to it so that we can get the frame of the 24 valve hopefully undercoated sooner than later. I mean, what the hell, I might as well just keep chugging away at it and trying to get that done, but unfortunately the rain here is not going to allow me to do that. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video on Pure Panorama. This video I want to do a review on the Glowshift gauges. Now, we've had these Glowshift gauges in the 24 valve now for I think going on about 2 months or so. So we've got to put them through their paces a little bit. We've had the chance to see how they operate, how they hold up, and just kind of get to know them. I want to split this video into kind of like 2 different categories, the good and the bad. And I guess we'll start with the good first and just get all that out of the way, because there's definitely more good than there is bad. I do have a couple of things that would probably fall in the bad section for me, even though to others it may not really be that big a deal. The first good thing I have to say about these Glowshift gauges, I do have the boost gauge, the EGT pyrometer gauge, and the fuel pressure gauge, and I also have the triple pod gauge pillar to mount them in. But the first good thing that I do have to say about these Glowshift gauges is the instructions that you receive with the whole Glowshift gauge set. Like, it comes in a package. The instructions are just very well thought out and printed with nice pictures, and just really lays it out and makes it such a straightforward process to get these Glowshift gauges installed on your truck. Somebody like me who's never installed gauges before, it just made it super easy to get these Glowshift gauges installed in my 24 valve and not have to worry about any issues or them not working properly. I mean, from the moment I fired the truck up after installing these gauges, they worked fine, and I haven't had really any issues with them. The second good thing that I have to say about these Glowshift gauges is actually the quality of them. A lot of people like to talk down about the Glowshift gauges and think that they're just cheap or poorly made or whatever the case may be, and you obviously probably have heard the term glow shit. It's all over the internet, but I really don't see any problems in the quality of these gauges. I honestly feel like they have decent quality to them, and I've never held or had an ISPRO gauge in my hand to see it up close and compare it to that. But if I had to guess, I'm gonna say, and I might be going out on a limb here, but I'm gonna say that these Glowshift gauges probably really aren't that much less of a quality than what the ISPRO gauges are. I think what a lot of people get frustrated about with the Glowshift gauges is their performance, and I think they've had probably performance issues with them and just the functionality of them. But I would probably, going out on a limb again here, I would probably have to say that if somebody's experiencing any difficulties in the way that these Glowshift gauges are performing and doing their job, then it probably falls back with something to do with how they were installed or the installation process, and whoever hooking them up, whatever they did during that installation process, because I don't see any problems with them and they work fine. You know, 2 months into it, I wanted to wait a little bit before doing the review just to give them an opportunity to work and see if any kinks popped up or anything happened with them. But I've had no issues, and I think that the quality of these so far is pretty decent. Third good thing that I have to say about these gauges is I do like the fact that you can change up the colors. There's 7 different color options with these, and really, I mean, if you're doing lighting accessories inside your truck, you can match them up basically to any color light that you want to kind of go with the theme of your other lighting accessories that you have in the cab of your truck. I really like the way that they kind of, I guess, complete the look of the truck inside the cab. They really just have a way about them of making everything tie together and just the look of them inside the cab, and that's any gauges really, but I'm specifically speaking about the Glowshift gauges because that's what I have. But any gauge in general, or gauge pod with gauges in it, I feel like just completes the look inside the cab and just makes it look just nice, man, especially on a nice clean install of the gauges. It just, I don't know, there's something about the look of them that really just looks pretty slick. Now obviously a huge thing that I like about these Glowshift gauges is that they are a phenomenal tool to have in the cab of your truck so that you can monitor vitals of your truck and how it's performing, as in your fuel pressure, your EGTs. There's tons of different gauges that you can get and hook up to monitor basically different vital signs of your truck so that you know at any given moment what your truck is doing, how it's performing, if anything is starting to fail or go wrong and you need to put some attention somewhere to fix or repair something. So just the main purpose and function of the gauges is a huge thing for anybody really to like about them. Now the first thing that I have to say that I dislike about these Glowshift gauges is that the pod, and I don't know what other pods are really out on the market. I haven't really looked around or done a search on that, but this specific pillar pod that I have, for whatever reason, my like rubber weather stripping here on the door, there's a couple spots where it just won't lay down 100% flush against the pod. So I've fiddled with it a little bit and tried to wiggle the pod around and mess with the rubber trim and see if I could adjust it and stuff, but I've got it basically for the most part pretty decent, but there is one spot that just bugs me every time I see it. So I don't know what the deal is with that, if the pod's just a little too wide or not molded 100% accurately to the actual pillar of the truck, but that, I don't know, I feel like it could be probably a little bit cleaner for the pod anyways. Maybe it's just the pod that I got too. Maybe others don't have that problem. The other bad thing that I have to say about these is that there is a feature on these Glowshift gauges that is like a memory setting. So every time you restart your truck, it's supposed to remember what color you had the Glowshift gauges set on. But a lot of the times when I restart my truck, I find that basically the gauges reset and go back to the, I guess I would call it the default color, which is blue. Now luckily I don't have to press the button 6 different times to change through the colors to get back to green. Green is the second color option for the lights on these gauges, so I only have to press the button 1 time to get to the green. But it still is annoying because they are supposed to have that memory feature where they stay on the color that you have them at every time you restart the truck. So I don't know if that is a fault of the gauge or what it is. I haven't really looked into it yet, but I'm gonna mention it as a bad thing, even though it's really not a huge deal to press the button once. But I don't know, I shouldn't have to press the button at all. One last good thing about these gauges that you really just can't beat, especially compared to ISPRO, is the price point of these. I got this whole kit with the pillar pod, everything to install it, all the sensors, the wire harness, everything. I'm talking everything. And the 3 gauges for I think $270. So you can't go wrong with that. So some people would argue that you get what you pay for and that the cheaper price point on these is reflective of probably issues that are gonna come down the line with these gauges, but that's why I said I've waited a couple months to kind of do this review, and I after 2 months or so, I really have seen no issues, nothing wrong with these at all. So I think that the price point on these is phenomenal for about 270, 280 bucks. How could you go wrong? And like I already mentioned about the quality of them and stuff, I think that all those good things basically outweigh the couple of bad things that I had to say about these Glowshift gauges, because really when it boils down to it, the couple of things that I said that are bad about these gauges really aren't all that big of a deal. So overall, the way things sit right now and what I've experienced with these gauges, I guess I would probably rate them with a like 4-star rating, 4.5-star rating. I usually never really give anything a full like 10 out of 10 or 5-star rating or whatever. I feel like no matter what you get, whether it be the most expensive of items or the most inexpensive items, there's usually always something that could be found or something that could happen to them. So I usually never rate things 10 out of 10 or a 5-star rating. I'd argue against people who say that these gauges are junk and no good, because at the end of the day, they still serve their purpose, they still do their job, and they still help me to monitor what these 3 vitals are of my truck and be able to know if there's an issue with any of them. As I've mentioned before, I do need to do a trans temp gauge on the Cummins, so I'm going to stick with the same brand. I'm going to get a Glowshift trans temp gauge and mount that right here on the steering wheel, on the steering column. So that's, I have no reason to go with another brand. So I am gonna do that here down the road when we get into the transmission and doing the new trans pan and the oil change and all that stuff. But just wanted to kind of, I guess, fill you guys in on my thoughts of these Glowshift gauges after having them and kind of seeing what they are all about now for a couple months. If you look at these things, they really do look good in the truck and really just kind of finish it off. Even though my pod here doesn't match the gray of the inside of my truck, it's really no big deal. And honestly, to pull this off and then just unhook these 3 gauges real quick and switch this out for a gray one would probably be like a 30-minute deal and not take me that long at all. In other news, we do have a package, and as you can see, it's an Amazon Prime package. So let's get in the garage and see what it is. That, my friends, is 10 feet of silicone vacuum tube so that we can hook up the Turbosmart wastegate actuator to the diesel auto power adjustable boost elbow. Now, I obviously only need about 3.5 inches of this, but I couldn't find it in any smaller length than 10 feet. So I think we'll have a little bit of this on deck and maybe look to pick up a couple extra turbos and rebuild them to turn around and flip them. So if I can find a couple of turbos on the cheap, then I will do the same thing that I did with this HX35, rebuild them, clean them all up, make them look good, and then turn right around and flip them. Enough talking though, let's go and get a piece of this cut and get it installed, and then that is it, man. We just got to put the exhaust elbow on the HX35 and then it's ready to stuff into the truck under the hood of the 24 valve and get that poor old HY35 out of there. If you are looking to pick up some new silicone vacuum tube for your wastegate and you need to replace yours that's on your HX35, maybe it's dry rotted, has cracks in it, just old and seen better days, this is a 6mm vacuum hose. So this inner diameter of the hole here, that is 6mm, and that's what will go onto your boost elbow and the actual wastegate actuator up here. That is what the stock line is on these HX35s. Basically, it measures 1/4 inch for that inner diameter, which would translate to 6mm. It's a little bit bigger than 6mm, 1/4 inches, but 6mm leaves a nice snug fit on each connection so that you don't have to worry about any boost leak. The only thing left to do now is just to get a little hose clamp like this one. I do have some here, but they are way too big to stick on here, so I have to go out to the store tomorrow, grab a smaller hose clamp like that, and put it down here on the boost elbow just to hold this down on there. But otherwise, the turbo is completed. Go ahead and hit that like button on your way out. Leave a big old thumbs up on the video. It does help with search results and recommending videos to new people, hopefully to bring new family members here to the channel. If you're stopping in for the first time, just found the channel and you're checking it out to see what it's all about, hit that subscribe button and join the family. We have a good group of guys here with a good knowledge, and we all comment in the comment section to help one another. So don't miss out on that. Join in and leave your knowledge down below with all of us, and I will see you guys in the next video. Hopefully one of them coming up soon will be me installing this HX35 finally onto the Cummins. All right, gotta go. Peace.
I just wanna